Thank you, everyone, for being here. My name is Sarah Ranchler. I'm your program quality director. And if you didn't know by now, you are here for a wonderful training by our contest chief judge for District 2, Michael Scheele. And he's going to tell you all about making quality club contests or contests in general. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this training. So, Michael, take it away.
Thank you, Sarah. Good evening, everyone. And we have a fun evening for everyone here. At least it is for me. I love contests. They're one of my favorite things that happens outside of the club. Great opportunity to learn, and they're fun. But as we know as Toastmasters, if you don't have people putting on the contest, it doesn't happen. I mean, it's kind of like having a Toastmasters meeting and you only have speakers. You don't have any evaluators, you don't have a Toastmaster, you don't have any of the other supporting roles. So what we're going to think about today is how to make that a quality contest. How does that happen? And so my presentation is going to be called Putting on a Good Show. Now, I'm going to preface this as I break some of my rules on PowerPoint. There are some slides that have far more text than I'd like, but I don't expect you to read them. In fact, I prefer you not read them. They're there for your reference, and you can get the slide deck at a later point. I'm just going to preface it that way. I've tried to make sure that it was fairly text light, but it didn't happen for every slide. So keep that in mind, but we're going to share the screen and we're going to get started here. And verifying, can everyone see the screen? Okay, very good. Putting on a good show. Now, that's here. Now, the one thing I compare this to a show because, as past district governor Karen Evans used to say, it's a star production. It's a show. And as such, remind people that contestants are the stars. And contest officials in any capacity, we're there to allow them to shine. That's how I look at it, at least. So basically, we're just going to go through some of the basics on putting on the show, starting with planning. As the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you fail to, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, in essence. So we're going to think about date, venue, and then personnel and materials. Some basic mechanics, some of which we had decided just recently at the DECM. There are two contests, of course, international speech and evaluation contest. I know some of you may not have seen an evaluation contest in a while because starting with 2020, it kind of disappeared because of all the fun and joy that happened to the everyone with the dislocation for all meeting the new normal, as it were. But it's back, and I'm excited for that because that's one of my favorite contests. Now, some deadlines that was very, very recently decided were all club contests must be completed and the results reported to the area directors by February 19th. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah, here. The same is for area, March 25th. All area contests must be done and the results sent on to the division directors. Likewise, division directors, all division contests must be done by April 22nd and the results sent to the district. And of course, May 4th is our district contest. And I'm sure that the various, Sarah will be in touch with you if you're the district winner to send on that information on to the World Championship of Public Speaking, at least that process. But we're not going to delve into that because only some of us will really be dealing with that. Now, that's for the date. So area directors, definitely be evangelizing this to your clubs ASAP because we want them to make sure they have plenty of time to have their club contest or to come up with who is going to represent their club if they use some other means. It's like, oh, no, you and you, yeah, you guys are representing us in the area contest. That's perfectly doable. And to reiterate, we had made the decision and voted at the DECM to allow 2 contestants if you have an area with 4 or fewer clubs in it to represent each club at the area contest. Likewise, if you have a division that have 4 or fewer areas, you can send they can send 2 contestants to the division contest. Now, this is something for contest chairs. Make sure you know the rank order of every single contestant. You don't want to be in a position where you have no idea who say the 3rd place winner of your area contest, if for whatever reason 1st and 2nd can't make it. You need to be sure you track that. So contest chairs, make sure you keep track of that info. So some venue ideas, libraries. In the East Side, for instance, the Redmond Public Library for KCLS has been a popular one. In the distant past, larger contests have used their facilities out in Issaquah. Just really, if you can find it and reserve it, it can be tricky, but it's certainly something that's useful and free. That's a great thing. Some churches have been used. I remember being at some contest at one of the churches in Kirkland, and also at the school district for Lake Washington School District. They have some facilities that can be used. Again, it's up to you as the contest chair to find the venue. Community centers, many of them charge though, unfortunately, so that may not be as practical, but those are just a starting place to get some ideas of where to have your contest. And I recommend, having been an area director or a division director beforehand, make sure that you plan as soon as possible. You work backwards from the district contest. Figure out, okay, where are we going to have our division contests? You can kibitz amongst yourselves among the division directors. Work that out so you don't have scheduling conflicts. Likewise, within your divisions, the area directors, work with your division director to come up with a schedule that everyone can live with, because that way you have the maximum opportunity to get the help that you need to meet the contents of filling out who's on the roster to help with that contest. It's probably going to be many of your area directors and possibly future area directors that are going to be there. So work that schedule out. And area directors, make sure you communicate back to your clubs so they know when to get that information to you. You don't want to have them scheduling a contest too late for them to participate. So keep that in mind. And I know it's a hackneyed phrase, but it literally takes a small village to put on a contest. The contest officials here, and don't expect you to read it all, but you need a host of people to make sure that it happens. And in smaller contests, you may outnumber the contestants. Don't worry about it, but you need to make sure that those people are in place, because you do not want to have a contest that does not meet the requirements of Toastmasters International. Now, again, I'm going to preface this. That's a lot of text, but the idea is that I want you to check the speech contest rulebook, part 1171, or items 1171, and I put specific pages referencing it for the 2023-2024 edition for qualifications and disqualifications. And I'm doing that because I don't want you to take my word for it and what you remember what I said here. I want you to look at the specific information so that you, without question, have the correct information. But this is a basic summary. Contestants, you must be a paid member from a club in good standing in order to compete. If you're in the international speech contest, you must have completed at least levels 1 and 2 of any path. Or if you were under the old system, you had earned your DTM. Yes, I know that's kind of weird, but those are the rules. Contest officials, except for judges, you must be a paid member. And here's a key thing, and you'd think it would be obvious, but you cannot be a contest official if you're also a contestant at the same contest. I don't think it should be really difficult to understand why this would be part of a problem. But yes, keep that in mind. And this is something for the contestants and for judges. For the international, for any contest, if you have more than 25% of the speech being quotes, paraphrases, or references to other people's content, that can disqualify the contestant. Failure to identify such content during the speech Like say you read a soliloquy from Shakespeare and you don't mention that it's from Shakespeare. That is a disqualifying move. And this is the next one is a weird one, but it's something we have to contend with. You may not reference another contestant or their speech in the same contest. That can disqualify you. And only contestants and voting judges may lodge a protest with either the chief judge or the contest chair. And the contest chair may disqualify a contestant for eligibility. Like, for instance, if they're not a member in good standing from a club in good standing, that would be something. Or if they didn't meet the educational minimums for the contest in the case of international speech. Okay. Judge qualifications. I'm not going to focus on the bottom half because that's a much smaller pool of people. Most people will be at most dealing with area through district level. You must be a paid member for at least 6 months. Under the old legacy system, you must have completed at least 6 speeches from the OCC manual, or under pathways, levels 1 and 2 of any path. And disqualifications for judges. This is really important if you're a contest chair or a chief judge, vetting judges for your contest. They cannot be a contestant in the same contest type beyond the club level. So if they lose out at the club level, fine, they're not disqualified. But if they say they compete in the international speech contest in, say, Area 51, they can't be a judge in, say, Area 65 for the international speech contest. It wouldn't bar them from the evaluation contest, but ethically, I still think you probably refrain from doing that. Conflicts of interest. This is one that's really tricky because most of the people that you will get and recruit for judge positions, especially at the higher level contests, will be people who belong to more than one club. If they're a member of any club where a contestant in that contest is also a member, beyond the area level, that's the division and district level, that disqualifies somebody for being a judge. So make sure you ask of that when you're talking to people about getting them to be a judge at your contest. That is something that can bite you. And in terms of judges, and this is a challenge because all clubs at areas or divisions must be equally represented as voting judges at the level above, or if you want to simplify it, get judges from outside of that club, outside of that area, or out of that division, if at all possible, because then you don't have to worry about issues of biases from having judges from the same club, area, division, or district. Well, not district, but area or division as the contestants. All right. And now we're on to showtime. We had the prep, and that's going to consume a lot of your time. But then, of course, the day of the contest, showtime. Basic things, the speech criteria, and you get this off of the ballot. And it does change a little bit over the years. So if you have an old ballot, don't look at that. Always look at the current year's ballot for this. And this doesn't matter whether you're a judge or whether you're a contestant. If you're a contestant, make note of that. That is exactly what you're going to be judged against when the judges are writing down their notes during the contest. That's how you're going to be judged as a contestant. Evaluation, a little bit simpler. But again, it's important to know these things as a contestant and as a judge. Now, basic structure, again, I'm going to read over it because it's way too much text. Please do not read it. The basic flow is there. I mentioned the pages in the speech contest rulebook where it's listed. And some important things, you have to remember that in the area contest, which are online only this year, you want to make sure that everyone knows how you're going to communicate the relevant information. Ballot counters, timers, getting the information to the chief judge so that we can figure out who came in first, who came in second, etc. And that's important. You have that all communicated. and also make sure that you have it communicated between the chief judge and, of course, your contest chair, so they know whom to actually announce as the winners. Make sure you have that coordination down before the contest, because you don't want to be scrambling around figuring it out the day of. There's just too much confusion going on, too much going on. Just deal with it beforehand. Again, the evaluation contest. The one thing is, if you haven't seen the evaluation contest, the one difference is you have someone who isn't a contestant speak first. They're the test speaker. They give a 5 to 7 minute speech, and all of the contestants will be evaluating against that test speaker. Now, after the speech is done, the sergeant at arms, and whether it's virtually or in person, sequesters all of the speech evaluation contestants and put them in a room, virtual or otherwise, and then you have 5 minutes to prepare their notes for their speech. In person, the sergeant at arms takes away the notes from everyone but the first contestant. Then they're brought in one at a time. So the first person who is the contestant, they get to hear every single evaluation. Everyone else only hears those that come after them. The last contestant only gets to hear themselves. But that's just the way the contest works. And as a tip for the Zoom host, make sure that if you have, for the area contest, because they're online, you have a good understanding of how to get people into rooms and what all, and so that everybody knows, like, oh, after the test speaker is done, we're going to move all of these other folks into this other room, start the timer, so they can't be distracted by what's going on, because potentially they're interviewing the test speaker during that time. Again, basics. Contest chair announces results. There's acknowledgement, there's thanks. And something I had mentioned earlier is that judges are to remain anonymous for as long as possible, just to not to affect the contestants. So they're not having to worry about distinguishing between judges and the rest of the audience. Too much of a distraction. But of course, when it comes time for acknowledgement and thanks after the contest is done, that seems like a reasonable one. The school rule books kind of suggest that for the safety of the judges, it's not a good idea to break the anonymity. But I think at the end of the contest, I don't think it's that big of a deal, since they're not going to know how each of the individual judges voted. I don't really see the issue there. But that would probably be about the earliest I'd mention it, is when it's time to acknowledge everyone who made the contest possible. Now, some tips. Timers. Make sure that one of them knows the timing rules and knows that they're going to announce them. 2, make sure that you have one person who's well versed in displaying the timing signals, whichever you use. Sergeant at arms, this is going to be something new for people who haven't done so in a while, especially in person. You might have to assist with props. You might have to deal with chaperoning the evaluation contestants, as I had mentioned earlier, the contestants. It's a separate process besides just keeping people from entering or exiting the room during a speech. So it's a little different, but good to learn these things. Ballot counters. One thing I've found from being a ballot counter at a contest in person, it's good to work out some hand signals between the ballot counters and the chief judge. Like, say, okay, I have 3 ballots, or I have 4 ballots, or I have 2 ballots, whatever it happens to be. So they know that there aren't any outstanding ballots. And of course, the chief judge will want to collect the ballot from the tiebreaker judge that they know about. And important operational note, chief judges for area contests, the tiebreaker judge does not attend judges' briefing, so the other judges will not know who they are. Just as a note. And a couple of other tips: get signed eligibility forms before the contest. That's for the judges and also the contestants. The contestants need to make sure they get the certification of originality and eligibility to the contest chair. and also any speaker bio form that will help the contest Toastmaster. And for the chief judge, they need to make sure they have the signed eligibility forms for the judges and code of ethics. Some other tips, and this is something that if you haven't done so before, the online contest, in our case, the either the club or the area contest, you want to make sure you have a set of procedure for sending votes to the chief judge and ballot counters. Could be by email, could be by text, whatever it is. Make sure they know, and maybe have a backup procedure in case somebody's having some tech problems. Now, make sure that everyone is clear about, and this is from the contestants by the contest chair, by the contest Toastmaster, or the chief judge to the judges. Only contestants and judges may file a protest during a speech contest. Make sure they know exactly who to take it to and how we get that adjudicated. Suggestion: conduct a walkthrough, a dry run, however you want to term it, so contest officials are clear about the procedures. Because contests are difficult enough. If people aren't on the same page, it just gets much worse. So make sure everyone takes care of that beforehand. One useful tip: update your client apps if you have an online contest way beforehand, preferably days before, so you can tell whether it's going to break the client or what have you, simply because I've had it happen to me. I've had judges unable to zoom in because the client update broke their installation. So I actually had to have them come up with ways to work around that. Being a tech support person as a contest official, not fun. Try to avoid it if all possible.
Hey, Michael, we have one
Yeah.
question in the
Sure.
chat. How can ballots be collected anonymously during an in-person contest?
Ballots cannot be collected completely anonymously. The idea is that you're not announcing their names and bringing it to attention. Yeah, obviously in an in-person contest, you can't blind people to the fact that, oh, they went over to such and such. But generally speaking, that's going to be after all of the contestants have spoken. So you're just not naming them ahead of time. But yeah, that is true. You can't make everyone blind to not see who's getting ballots taken from them. But hopefully that's going to be incomplete, because unless you're sitting around scanning everybody in the audience, you're not going to see everyone who's getting a ballot taken from them. But that's a good point. Okay, other basic helpful tips in person: have extra forms. Contest chair, contest Toastmaster, chief judge, make sure you have extra forms, because there's always a case where, oh, I didn't get the form from such and such, and here, sign this, and because we need to have it done before the contest, and that is important. We do need to have the forms before the contest begins, so bring extra forms. In person, judges should sign the ballots and pre-tear them from the bottom of the ballot form. It saves time and makes it a lot easier when you're trying to get the ballots in an expeditious manner. So, okay, of course, resources. There's general, contest chair only, judge only, and contestant only. General contest resources. I know it's hard to read because it's in dark blue, but that's a pointer to toastmasters.org/resources/speech-contest. And again, if you request this, the PPT for all of this, you'll be able to read it much more easily. Other things on the TI website: the International Speech Contest Kit, the Evaluation Contest Kit. The one in the middle is also one I think should be highlighted in extra gold with stars or whatever. The Speech Contest Rulebook, item 1171. Download it. Download multiple copies to your phone, to your computer. Make sure you're not missing this, because if you want to make sure that you're not causing problems for the contest, you want to refer to that. So download a couple of copies. International Speech and Evaluation Script Timeline. It dates back to a few years, but it is for downloadable from d2's tm.org. I recommend it and look at it. It'll give you an idea of the flow of the contest. Sure, it's made for a physical contest, but it's not that hard to mentally switch over to an online format for Zoom or Teams or however you WebEx, however you do it. Now, let's see here. And also, as Chief Judge, I'm available for questions. And if you're a club officer or a contestant from a club, ask your area director. Or if you're an area director, ask your division director. If you're a division director, ask the trio. Whatever the case may be, if you have a question, make sure you get it resolved, because don't let it go unresolved. It's not good for anybody. So, judge resources. There are some videos on the TI website about the judge's guide and ballot, explaining that, the roles, and some tips and hints on when you're the judge. Worth going through, especially if you haven't been a contest judge before. Again, and I'm going to say it again, speech contest rulebook. Know it, download it, read it. The judge's certification of eligibility and code of ethics forms. That's something that every judge for a contest needs to sign and get to the chief judge before the contest. Whether you're a contestant or you're a judge, look at the judge's guide and ballot. It has the speech criteria for how it's going to be noted and rated by the judges. And it also has a longer explanation of what all of those categories mean. And I put in the item numbers for international speech and evaluation. Contestant resources, yes, again, the speech contest rulebook, judge's guide and ballot, and eligibility assistant in Club Central. It's if you go to ti.org, if you go to Club Central, there's an eligibility assistant, and that can verify that you are in fact eligible to compete in the international speech contest. So that's also helpful for contest chairs or Toastmasters. Make sure, all of my contestants are actually eligible, because you don't want to have something where someone has to be disqualified at a later point because it's discovered, oh yeah, you don't actually meet the requirements. You don't want to have people upset that they've gotten so far and yet they were not eligible to get to the next level. And okay, I've gone through the long spiel, a lot of text. Questions? I'm going to stop sharing.
We did have one person with their hand raised.
Okay.
Omar, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask a question about the difference between the speech kit and the rule book, but I think I just figured it out. So thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, for everyone else, yeah, the speech contest kit and the evaluation contest kit, actually every single one of the contests have very similar items in there. It'll have the speech contest rule book. It's the same in every version. It'll have the appropriate ballot and tie-breaking ballot. It'll have things like certificates that you can modify and print out for first, second, and third or participants, whatever the case may be. Most of the things and documents that you need, timing forms, ballot counter forms, notification of contest winner, all of that is going to be in the contest kit. It's available for free download on the TI website. Make sure you have it for both international speech and evaluation contest. And the speech contest rulebook is a subset, and it's going to be in every single contest kit, but it's also available for separate download. Again, part 1171. Let's see here. I think I saw Peter's hand first.
Yeah, we
then
have
I'll go to
hands.
Henry.
Yep.
Okay, a couple of things that I noted early on. You said notify the area directors and division directors, and I would think if we've identified contest chairs, then that would be the appropriate place. And wouldn't that be the chief judge's responsibility from the lower level to forward the materials?
Oh, it's kind of, it is by function. I mean, ultimately, the contest chair is really kind of the producer behind it all. So getting them to the appropriate people is important. But there are definitely some things that are much more relevant to specific players. Like I said, the contest Toastmaster really needs to have make sure that they have copies of the certification of eligibility and originality, so they know their contestants won't be disqualified. Secondly, let's see, they would also need to have the speaker bio forms, but not they wouldn't need specifically the judge's certification of eligibility and a code of ethics being signed. That's the chief judges. They need to have that. Other forms, of course, things like ballot counter forms, timer forms, those sort of things, chief judge can have, but ultimately the contest chair should really be on top of that. If
Yeah,
they don't
and I
need
just
to
wanted
make,
to add,
yeah,
Michael, like, because this year we're incentivizing that people go both give a contestant to a contest and then also participate as a helper. So I'm actually going to need more than just the contestants sent by the chair. So you would be the chair for the Division C contest, and then the area contest that you don't have area directors for. So I would expect you to send me a list of not only all of the contestants and their rank, but then also every helper for that contest. And if they're in more than one club, I need to know which club they want the credit for. So I can incentivize them.
That's true. But I'm thinking in terms of the contestants submitting their forms. Once, if they are in the first couple of places or the first 3 places of the contest, I thought it was the chief judge for that contest that was responsible for sending the results, and he can send the forms on to the next level.
No, we're just gonna have the contest chair do it, because that would be you'd have that information anyway.
I mean, obviously
We
the
would
chief
have
judge is going to know, since they're part of the tally for determining who placed, but they're supposed to transmit those to the contest chair so they could be announced, and ultimately the contest chair is pushing it up the chain as far as notification. So, like for instance, if you're an area director, your division director needs to know that. So that information is all present. Whereas it doesn't necessarily make sense to have the chief judge do that, because the contest chair is going to receive it anyway from the chief judge. And if you're the division director, you kind of expect it to be from your area directors, right? And certainly Sarah's going to want the info from the division directors. I mean, even if
and you already have relationships with each other, you know me, and Kendra is the contest chair for District 2, so she'll be the person that you're also sending the results from the division contests to. But it just streamlines everything for the chairs to be the directors.
Okay, Henry.
I also just want to welcome Kent, who joined us. He's our assistant chief judge, and he can jump in too if you have answers to questions. Go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, can I share my screen here? Let me just, I hope this works.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Yeah, I just want to clear this up. So I think this has to do with how we interpret this rule here, number 2. And I think you said that it's either one of 2 ways. It's, well, if you have judges from that particular area for that area contest, there better be an equal number.
Right.
If not,
just
you got to grab 5 from outside, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how we kind of look at it. Because let's say you are an area that has only 4 clubs in it. It's okay to have it where there's one judge from each of the 4 clubs.
Yeah.
They're all represented, correct? Right.
Great. Yeah.
So that's fine. But if you can't do that, say you can only get judges from 2 of the clubs, and you get judges from the other 2 clubs, that would be unfair under this rule. Now, what you would need to do is to get a total of 5 outside judges. I mean, I guess theoretically you could have yeah, actually, you have to have an equal number, so they would need to be from outside of the area in this case. If you can't get equal representation from all of the clubs in the contest.
Okay, I think this might be just worded badly.
Yeah, it's a little awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, but I get it. All right. So this is an interpretation. You're the contest chair. I follow, or what are you? I'm sorry.
I'm
I
chief
forgot.
judge.
Chief judge. Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Chief
Some of my
judge,
description. Yeah,
you're the binding authority here. You make the shots. I just point to you if anybody says this is just weird. All right, cool. Thank you very much.
So actually, Henry, I actually agree with you that it is kind of
It's
weirdly
badly
worded, but it's certainly not as clear as it could be. But again, the way I would interpret it is, yeah, like if you can't get a judge from or two and make sure it's an equal number from all of the clubs that are competing, then what you want to do is make sure you get judges from outside, and it needs to be equal to the minimum required at each level. In this case, it would be 5 for the area contest. So
I understand the spirit here. It's yeah. I mean, it's
and this is something for the people who, when you're recruiting for a contest, it's important to keep this in mind. Like for instance, okay, I recruit judges from all 4 clubs in my area, and then like say Bill, he has got into a car accident and he won't be able to make the contest, and he's just not up to it or whatever. And okay, so the day of contest, you've got 3 clubs represented, but not the 4th. So if you can't get a judge from that club, you're kind of in a bind, because you're going to have to scramble like crazy to get 5 judges from outside of the area in order to meet this requirement. So I kind of recommend that unless you know that you can count on all of your judges being equally represented, I just go outside, just simply because. I mean, is it really unrealistic that at least you won't have just only have 1, if not 2 judges back out somewhere along the line? Definitely a possibility. So I tend to go towards going for making sure that there are outside judges, just simply because, yeah, if 1 or 2 people have problems, you're thrown out of balance and you're stuck trying to find a whole bunch of judges at the last minute. That isn't any fun. So, I mean, the rules specify what you need, but I think in practical terms, it's just easier and a greater peace of mind for recruiting to get people from outside of the relevant area or division, as the case may be, simply because it could get really ugly.
Okay, or alternatively, you could have those 4, but they have to have backup judges.
Yeah, they could have, if you can make sure that they have backups, that would work. Yes. I'm just suggesting that, in smaller clubs, that may not be feasible. But, if you have larger clubs, sure, that's perfectly reasonable. If they have a good bench of people that are eligible to be judges and will be able to participate on that given day, then great. But, if you have any questions on that, the best practice, is my view, is go outside. Like area directors could swap, it looks like I saw Roxanne had a suggestion there in the chat about swapping. And that's one way to do it. Make sure you have the minimum number of judges from one area. Say your area is 42 and 43 or whatever, and one's area's judges will get the other, and vice versa. That would cover it too. So there's many ways to get from here to there. It's just need to make sure that you're following the rules at least in one way or the other.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Please stop sharing the screen.
Let me see if I can do stop share.
Yeah.
And then I saw Kent raised his hand for a second there.
Okay, Kent.
Did you have something to say, or was that? Oh, we lost Kent.
Okay.
Okay. We do have a question in the chat
Okay,
from Peter.
Peter. Okay, let's see here. Speaking to eligibility. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and it's a long list of things that can disqualify you, which is why I didn't put it on the slides were just too busy as it is, and I just didn't want to make it even worse. The basics are big one, which doesn't apply to too many people. If you've won the World Championship of Public Speaking, you're ineligible. Other things, if you're a district officer, you're ineligible to compete. If you are presenting at, say, the district conference at an educational session or some district-wide event, especially if it's the same event that the contest is taking place at, you are ineligible. People who are announced candidates for the following Toastmasters year are ineligible to compete. There's a whole list, and this is why I recommend everybody download the contest rulebook and scrutinize the disqualifications, because you don't want to have it where somebody advances and it turns out they're ineligible, because that just causes a mess that nobody really wants to deal with. But yeah.
Now, what about for being a judge or other contest?
Can't be a contest official.
Yeah,
That's the way it always used to be.
That's what it says in the rules.
That's what it says in the now. Yeah, it's like it's just too much that can go wrong. I just again, like I said, if there's ever any question, refer to the speech contest rule book, because it changes a little bit each year as far as exactly who is specifically excluded. But don't go off of what you thought, what you remember it to be, because this is a really good way to make a mistake, because this is one area where I guarantee you things have changed subtly and not so subtly over the last few years. What will make you eligible and what will make you ineligible has changed. So do not, and I repeat, do not go off of your memory. Look at the rule book.
Oh, I'm not going off my memory. My memory is that I wasn't allowed to do anything, so that was it. I didn't care.
Yeah, but yes.
But besides that, there used to be a supplement, and I haven't seen one for this year, that actually summarized the information very concisely. And I haven't seen something like that this year. It identifies changes from year to year, and
there are they do sometimes publish deltas from the previous year rule book. I don't recall whether it's available or not, but it may be if they do one a little bit later in the year, but it isn't always available at the beginning of the year. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. I think I saw.
Yeah, questions are coming fast and furious.
Omar, and then
yeah, I have a question, Michael.
Yeah, Omar, go ahead.
Yes, so you mentioned that a district officer is ineligible. So can I compete in my local club, which is in a different division than the division that I?
And if you're in a different division at the club level, thing is, if you won, you wouldn't. Yeah, you definitely wouldn't be able to for the area contest. Yeah, it's you can only compete in one area contest. That's one other thing to remember is, let's just say you were in District 2 and District 32. You're on the south end and you compete and you belong to clubs in both. You can only participate in one area contest in any given season. Like, for instance, if you're in the national speech contest in both in District 2 and in District 32, you got to pick which area you're going to compete in, because you can't compete in both, even though you're in separate divisions or districts, rather.
I see.
So yeah, it's one of those things. At the club level, I don't think that's a complete disqualification, but it becomes a problem immediately at the area level. So if you win, yeah, I mean, I would recommend not doing it, just so you don't have that issue.
Start working on your speech now for next year.
Yeah.
Get it ready. Right. Bring it.
Thank you.
Okay. Benita?
Hey, Michael. So I have two questions. One is, for the area level or division level contest, the chief judge who will be receiving all the ballot counts. So is the any rules that how they need to dispose the result, or
I'm not
they can
sure I follow you, Vinita.
Like disposing of the ballot, there's
Oh.
specific ballots at the
Oh, the
end.
ballots at the end. Okay, the traditional. The chief judge would ask the contest chair, Madam Contest Chair, may I have permission to destroy the ballots? At that point, yes, they can do that, and that's something that you would want to do in the course of your contest. It's a tradition and it's a reasonable one. And in the case of an online and a Zoom contest or whatever, I just have, if you have the appropriate officials destroy the texts and the emails after that's done, and just make sure that you that the contest chair has received all of the appropriate information beforehand. And once that's done, they're good, and your responsibility for that info is done. But make sure that the contest chair has it first. Don't destroy them preemptively.
okay.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, Vinita?
Thank you. I have one more question because for the evaluation contest, there will be a test speaker. So
Yes.
they can pick any topic and the speech time is 5 to 7, or like is there is any rule for the test speaker? I'm not sure.
As the test speaker, it needs to be, can be on any topic, and is 5 to 7 minutes. Generally, it could be somebody's speech that they had from a previous contest or something, but they're not competing with it. Just the standard conflicts of interest test should be sufficient. Like, obviously you can't be a test speaker at an evaluation contest, and also be in the international speech contest using that speech. That
Yeah, you
that
like
would
can't
be,
have given the speech
Yeah.
before so that somebody perhaps evaluating you has seen it
yeah.
before.
Some common sense applies here. Yeah, you want it to be something where none of the contestants are going to have a weird advantage over the others because of happenstance. It's like, oh, it's they're in such and such's club. Same club, they've heard the speech about 10 times. Yeah, that would be a problem.
Okay.
So I generally like to make sure that the test speaker is a little removed from the contest, just simply because you just don't want to have it where it's like, oh yeah, this contestant A is in the same club as our test speaker, and they've heard several versions of this speech beforehand. So yeah, that would be unfair, and that you don't want that. That would be bad.
I
Okay.
like getting speakers from other divisions.
Yeah, that's usually a good helpful one, just simply because, yeah, you just don't want to have that problem. You don't want to just make sure that it's you don't want to make the contest unfair. So yeah, do your best to get one that nobody has heard before, at least in that contest. So
Okay. Thank you, Nika.
yeah, okay. Any other questions?
I do. Henry does.
Henry? Okay.
I guess when you get your contestants,
Mhm.
I don't know if it's either at the club level or the area level, they should disclose which clubs they are part of, yes?
Yes.
Like all of them, not just the ones they're
Yeah,
in.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it's not an issue for at the club level, but the area contest chair needs to know in case there's a conflict. The division contest chair needs to know, and definitely the at the district level, we need to make sure that none of the judges or any of the clubs that the contestant is in for the district contest. So make sure that that information is transmitted to the appropriate person as you go up the chain. So nobody is
I can
scrambling to
easily
try to
give you
figure this
guys-
stuff up.
Yeah, I
So,
can easily get that information for you. So just let me know when you have your contestants and I'll
yeah,
update you that information.
yeah. So because yeah, you don't want to have people disqualified for a dumb reason like, oh, we didn't check. Yeah, so
Well, I can stop the recording now if there aren't any further questions, or I think I'm seeing a bunch of no's. So I just want to thank you, Michael and Kent, for being here. Do you have any last words of wisdom to impart on us before I stop this recording?
I would probably say best thing to do is have fun with it. And the better you prepare for it, the less stressed everyone will be when it comes to time for the contest. And just remember that as long as you're trying to do the right thing, and it will work out. It may not feel like it at the time, but it will. You just need to be working towards making it work out the correct way, and it works itself out. But the more you look things up, the more you verify things, and the less assumptions you're making, you're just better off. It'll be more fun.
Yeah, have fun. What about you, Kent?
Yeah. Start early.
Yes.
Get your people lined up. Always have backups ready to go.
Yes.
Because there's always somebody who doesn't show. One contest I had was live in Seattle for an area contest. And we had the great fish truck debacle in Seattle where all the streets were blocked.
Oh, wow.
And our Toastmaster couldn't make it. Our chief judge couldn't make it. We had to scramble. But you make sure you have backups ready to go. So if you have an extra set of papers, have them ready.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. To amplify that, I went to a division contest one year, and the test speaker was unable to make it. The Toastmaster locked his keys in his car and almost couldn't make it. The chief judge couldn't make it, and so we managed to recruit people at the last minute. It's like, oh, you have a pocket speech? Great, you're the test speaker. It's like, oh, you need to be ready to be Toastmaster in case things don't work out and our Toastmaster can't return.
So it was like a regular Toastmaster meeting? Is that what you're saying?
Well, and the chief judge, it's like, oh, I happen to have the stack of forms needed to make the contest go. Here, everyone, start filling these out. And it still worked out. And we were able to make it go, but because everyone was prepared ahead of time to have contingency plans, it worked out. So, if you're an experienced Toastmaster, have a pocket speech. If you're involved as a contest official in any significant capacity, make sure you have extra forms. You never know when you're going to need them. And 3, make sure you have backups, or if something comes up, make sure you're responsible enough to find you a replacement so that your contest chair or doesn't lose it the day of the contest, because they're scrambling to try to find replacements. If you have that level of responsibility, it works really smoothly. But if you don't, it gets more hairy and stressful for the people involved. So try to avoid that if all possible.
Yeah, we're gonna just have
Thank
fun. You're not gonna need the backups, but you're gonna have them.
Yeah,
And
they'll be ready for next year.
Don't be afraid to ask for advice.
Oh yeah.
Many of us, like Michael and myself, have been in so many contests or put on so many contests over the years. We've got a lot of experience. We have other people in the district that are very good. Peter's been around a few contests. So it really is good to ask for advice.
Yeah.
And Marty too is a
Marty
good
has been too, yes.
So if you could all put your emails in the chat, I'm going to stop the recording right now and say thank you for being here.
Also, I might note, you don't feel, if you're doing stuff online, feel free to create tools to help you, like spreadsheets for doing the ballot tallies or what have you. It can be very helpful. Karen Axelrad did that in some of the Division E contests last year, and it was very helpful. For everyone
she's doing
involved.
a training too on how to be a contest chair.
Excellent.
And you are all invited. It is on December 2nd in the morning. It's 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So definitely attend that, because that'll give you more ideas on how to actually run your contest. I'm going to stop the recording now, I promise.
Okay.
Okay.